and welcome back to All Four Downs, an all-new season. The Wire, along with Kobe Blue and Garcia. Guys, thanks for being here. There's a lot going on. Obviously, things have, in the last couple of weeks, really taken a weird turn in college football. Obviously, we're going to get into all that here tonight. We'll preview the upcoming season, look at some of the big games during the year, and there's going to be some great ones. I think Alabama's going to lose a game this year.
You think they're going to lose a game?
I said it. Starting right off the top.
I think it's pretty obvious. Alabama has never been back-to-back season undefeated. But Jace might differ because he's always the opposite on this one, right, Jace?
Yeah, but an undefeated season is hard as is. Back-to-back, that's ridiculous. But also with all the guys that lost, I am excited to see though. Because Alabama is Alabama. They're always going to retool, and a lot of Alabama fans wanted that Bryce Young kid to start over Mac Jones, so they might have something there if those Alabama fans were right. So,
well, we're going to wait to see on that because there are plenty of competition this season. We're going to get through all that, but first, the biggest news. I felt like the version of this, like the Aaron Rodgers and the NFL draft, right? Or the day of the NFL draft, it was everything was about Aaron Rodgers. We were supposed to get ready for the college season, right? We were supposed to be ready for this expansion of the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, Texas and Oklahoma decided, you know what? We don't want to be here. We want to move to the SEC. Now, how you guys feel about this? Actually, you know what? Jace, I'm going to start with you on this one. What's your take when you initially heard that Texas and Oklahoma were moving to the SEC?
Can you blame them? The NCAA football is the SEC and everyone else. Everyone loves SEC football. Everyone talks about SEC football. And when you got two powerhouses like this, they're always top 10, at least in recruiting year after year. They deserve to be in this division that is the cream of the crop. But the thing I don't like is, it benefits them greatly because you're in the SEC. The SEC's the home of college football. It's just bringing more people, more eyes, more people are going to watch it. Like they didn't have a bunch of people as is, but the matchups, Texas versus Georgia, like every year, who's not going to watch that? Texas versus Alabama, Oklahoma versus Alabama every year. There's so many great matchups. And also the Big 12 was kind of dying. A lot of people didn't have the same respect they used to. I'm excited to see. There's obviously going to be some growing pains coming in right off the bat. But for everyone else, this is bad. You're weakening the Big 12. Your two top dogs, even though Texas hasn't really been that the past couple years, they're leaving. They're two cash cows, if you don't even want to talk. They make a bunch of money for that conference. And then, it's bringing more top recruits to the SEC. And it just enforces the fact that it's SEC and everyone else. What's next? You're going to bring Ohio State and Clemson in and just have one big power conference and leave everyone else?
I'll tell you this, is that I know Clemson, and I think there was another college that were trying to see if they could squeeze themselves into the SEC the last couple of days, but they got denied. But as far as being the first 16 teams in the SEC conference, this puts a hold on talking about expansion playoffs because I feel, right, this is just my opinion, that this is best for business. Okay, I'm going to steal that little line from Triple H of the WWE because we're talking about expansion, making it 12 teams, the best 12 teams, and the rules they come up with. You can scratch all that and keep it the way it is because now you have actually the real competitive teams going in one conference, right? And then there's a domino effect because now, even though the Pac-12 are saying, oh, we're not interested. Yes, they are. They are interested. They're talking. They're trying to find ways to bring more teams to their conference, right? The Big Ten, it's already set. They don't need to do anything else. The American Athletic Conference, that's another story because they're looking either to dive into another conference to at least join, right? And then it leaves what? the Big 12 hanging with nobody. And then what happens with the ACC? ACC is still questionable. So what's your take on that?
Well, so my first thought was this. Look, you're putting all these teams in a super conference. They have to play each other. Somebody's going to lose.
You're right.
And that's good news if you're Coastal Carolina, if you're Liberty, if you're Brigham Young, because that's you just got to win your games. And think about this. Let's say Texas A&M, 10-1 late in the season, and they do what they always do. They blow one. Maybe they were 5th in the rankings, and maybe Coastal Carolina's crawled all the way up to 6. A late season loss to Alabama. Yeah, that'd be great. Good for Coastal Carolina. But then again, what they would do is they would take, I don't know, Georgia would be 11th, and they would somehow catapult Georgia ahead of.
But why of all teams you want to pick on Georgia?
Because I thought, who's a team that definitely won't be good enough to deserve it and will get it anyway?
He's only saying that because I'm a Georgia fan and I'm standing here right next to him for the first time here in Clovercrest Media Studio, and he want to bring up Georgia, which that's going to be an interesting topic because that's part of our last segment of the schedule, right? With Clemson and Georgia starting off. So already it started off with a bang with college football. So I'm loving it right here. But let's take on to a different direction. Understanding, look, there's some unbalance, some turbulence going on between conferences, and still there's going to be a lot of legal issues because if Oklahoma and Texas were to move right away, they will owe the Big 12 a total of $86 million, right? And then that's not good.
Well, they
not
get that
good
much
at all.
from Nike every year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was greed. The other thing is that now the NCAA wants to get involved now after they've been absent for I don't know how many years, and they now want to dictate, get their hands in there, and they have a meeting, a joint meeting coming up in October, not only to discuss about this conferences, but also the NIL law that was passed back in July 1st. So those of you that don't know about the NIL law, now players can profit their own merchandises.
Right.
Okay. So I kind of like that idea. And then on the other side, I don't. And the only reason why is there is a high school senior, right, that already said committed to Ohio State, but won't be there till 2022 season. So he's a senior and he is opting out not to play his senior year in high school, right? And get ready for college football. Now, does that make sense?
They do this in basketball all the time.
I mean, look, I'm sorry.
That's a weird thing to do.
Wait, no,
yes.
Is
Yes,
it though?
it is.
They do
And
this in basketball all the time. People
like
opt out of their
either.
senior year to go play overseas. Look at LaMelo Ball. He went to like Turkey or something, came back number 2 overall pick.
Going to play overseas and just sitting out a season aren't the same thing.
Yeah, but you're talking about Quinn Ewers, right? OV, he's getting to practice with the team early because he's leaving. So
practice. We're talking about practice.
He's still extra time with the team. And if you're going to you got to prep for the next week, right, Joe? And that's where practice comes in to be ready for that next week. But no, like the NIL laws, the NIL laws, like it's about time. People need to get paid. The players need to get paid because enough with this shady stuff about throwing money here and there and having to look into that stuff. Just have an income for these players. Have an ability for these players to get paid because they can't do it. They can't work because they're on the field 8 hours a day. Because that is their full-time job. So why aren't they able to make a little bit of money off of this while the whole college is making millions and millions off of them? So it needs to be done. But the real thing with this is it's going to hurt the smaller schools. Like if you can get paid to play and you're going to be on CBS every week, ABC every week playing for Clemson, why would you go to like a Cincinnati? Why would you go? I mean, staying in AC, why would you go to like a Wake Forest? That's something when you can go to Clemson, get more eyes on you, possible more endorsement deals, more opportunities to make money. So it is strengthening the top, but it is also a great way for these guys to earn some sort of money.
Before we carry on with this and everything else, I want you to save your thought, Jace, real quick. Save your thought, because awesome information. But I'm dropped the gun here because I do got a little introduction video for this topic, for this segment. So check it out real quick. Hold on. And there's a clips that from since I gotta say, since after the college football season, there's been talks about trying to get this NIL law passed, right? And it did. It's July 1st. And one of the states that jumped on board was the state of Connecticut, in which, okay, over here we have the Yukon Huskies, which are famous known for their basketball, right? And as you see in those pictures, it affects all sports. Okay, not just college football, even though college football was really the target here, right? Because they started with their let's see. They tried to take a stand a year ago, and then for some odd reason it got quiet. Then we went through this pandemic, and so most of the focus was really, especially in the Pac-12, that they want some benefits, especially for the players that get injured, right? That even after the fact where they graduate and everything, that they still receive medical coverage. So with this NIL law and the players and the athletes, let's put it that way, the athletes, because they don't have time to actually get their own jobs and stuff like that, they could pocket some money, and they're the ones really that pointing the colleges on the platform. So I can understand why, they're fighting for this. And reality, they won. However, I don't think they won all the way. This thing is not even settled yet. And I got to feel once they have their meeting, the NCAA get together to have their meeting in October, they're going to try to do their best to micromanage it.
I don't know if you remember, but last year on the Blitz, I said that something like this was coming, that the NCAA made a major mistake in allowing the Power Five to just take over. And it was clear last year that the Pac-10 was getting completely mistreated, and it was clear they were taking a back seat in that this really was starting to become just the SEC and the Big 10 and the Big 12, and kind of ACC and the Pac-10 became like afterthoughts in this whole process. And I thought that those two conferences should have been upset. I thought Sun Belt and some of these other conferences should have all joined together when this was going down and been like, whoa, what is going on? Jace, you were just saying a minute ago how top heavy this move is. Well, it was already top heavy. And all this does now is it ensures that your top 10 will not have a Coastal Carolina in it, that not Liberty, none of these smaller schools will stand a chance, because they'll always find a 7-3 team in the SEC that they can move ahead of an undefeated team in any other conference. So yeah, this does make it worse, and it just really makes it more top heavy. I'm Alabama though. I don't know if I love this.
Why not?
Do I really do? I mean, not for nothing. Aren't I looking forward to that game against Vanderbilt?
Are you serious?
Just once in a while, I want to win 82-0. I want to just go there. I want to know that my quarterback's probably out by halftime. You're not going to have any easy games anymore.
That's what their non-conference
I would say
schedule
you're
is
going to
for,
dilute
so
the talent pool because
play against Citadel.
I mean, again, everyone's going to the SEC. Everyone's going to be trying to start for teams on the SEC, and so the top guys are going to want to go to Bama. But that second tier, that number 3, number 4 overall quarterback, where's he going? You're just making it more likely he's going to be in your conference. So you're going to see the top 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school all going into the SEC. If I'm Bama, I'm getting 1 or 2 of those guys. The other 5 are going to Georgia.
Again with this
they're
Georgia
they're going to Georgia somewhere, no?
But I mean that this offseason it was probably the record-breaking transfers that I've seen. And it gets growing. The list gets larger and larger, man. That so many people they're not satisfied because they're not starting, and it was like, look, I'm gonna take my talent somewhere else. They're doing a LeBron James, pretty much. This is a LeBron James virus that's going around. And look, I don't know if they're being promised to start for that college and then they don't and they want to leave. I don't know, but that's what it's going to boil down to. Is transferring to see where they're going to make that money. So pretty much might as well call it a different league. And I'm going to take it even back. So if you remember, Florida got ousted by Oklahoma, right? In the bowl game. And they asked the head coach from Florida, what's going to happen? He did give key indicators about something big was going to happen that he don't know what the future holds, right? And many thought that maybe he was going to move to the NFL and be like one of those assistant coaches. This was what's happening. This was not like all of a sudden crashed down oh my God, I came up with this deal 2 months ago and look at the effects. No, these talks have been happening for years. And now these guys are executing it. And depending on what happens with the NIL law effect for all the players and everything, look, if Joe Aguirre here is a starting quarterback and he's number 1 and he's going to be the number 1 draft pick for the season, look, I can see all these vendors and revenues going to you, right?
Yeah.
But what's going to happen with those offensive line? Where are they getting their cut? That's what I'm worried about, because without them, you don't have a quarterback. Without them, you don't have a running back, right? But
doesn't this just prepare you for the pros though? Because they're not getting paid the same amount. This is just them getting money. The more people getting paid, it's a business with the pros. You're getting prepared. The people that are going to get paid are going to be the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the running backs. Just like in the pros, linemen are underpaid. You might have one standout guy that makes a little bit more money because he does have a little bit of a name. But that always happens. They're always going to be underpaid. I think it just prepares them because the star guys, the skills are going to get paid more money anyway. So when they do end up going to the NFL, so it's just really prepping the business aspect of that stuff. Because let's be real, at college football, the guys going to the NFL, they're not going there for school. Let's be real. How many of them actually graduate with degrees? So the top guys, the smart guys, a lot of them just get there for football. So you're learning, and then they get thrusted into the business of the NFL. Now that they have an opportunity to make money in college, they can get a little bit business savvy before going to the NFL and having to deal with that. So it takes a little bit of pressure off of that.
All right. Hey, valid points there. But hey, we're just gonna have to wait to see what's gonna happen on this and everything else. But we got to move on here to the actual I'm sorry, man. I'm all over the place here, man. Heisman hopefuls.
Oh,
Heisman hopefuls. So I know that Joe and we know who should have won that Heisman. We know.
Yeah.
But this is other guy that believe not to be. But that's right, Jace. He didn't think Mac Jones. We can't pick on you all last season. I promise you, we ain't gonna do that again unless you put yourself out there like that. But Jace, who's your Heisman hopeful right now? Who's your actual target? That come off the back, number one, that might have the potential to win the Heisman this year.
Number one, my favorite going into the season is going to be Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma. They lost some pieces, but are getting a decent amount back, and that he was really good. I mean, he struggled a little bit last year. We saw a little bit of glimpses of him struggling, making some bad mistakes, forcing some stuff. But I mean, it was his first year starting, so you can expect that. But I mean, Oklahoma's set up for success. They're going to be the top team in the Big 12 right now. That's what it looks like, and he's going to be the reason for that. He's able to get it done on the ground and through the air. He can get it done on the ground when he needs to. I think he's going to be the real guy just because of his mobility. He's going to be able to get it done. But well, why are you guys smiling?
Yeah, so Heisman. I got Grayson McCall all the way.
Grayson
my
McCall.
I'm not mad at that.
I think he's gonna show everybody what's up. I'll tell you what, I really liked Alabama last year. Everybody knows that. I think I made my feelings pretty strong.
I think
Bama.
I think when it came to accuracy, throw, and everything else, Mac Jones was the guy, regardless what Devontae Smith did.
Mm-hmm.
Because before Devontae Smith, there was Waddle, right? But he still threw the ball to the tight ends and everywhere else. He shared the ball. But if you looked at that throw, how he placed that ball in there, whether it was tight or wide open, he was on point. And I was convinced that he should have been the man, right? But it's all good. You know what I mean? Look, I understand why Smith won the amount of yardage and everything else. I mean, statistically, but I'm looking at four guys, and I know that they're going to present more people, but these are the four guys last year that they're going to get recognition this year, and that's Grayson McCall, Desmond Ridder, Spencer Rattler, and Carson Strong. Those are the four that I'm looking at throughout the whole entire season. And depending on their play, regardless of their record, I mean, look, if their QBR rating is up there, they're well deserved. I like those four quarterbacks. Of course, there's JT Daniels, all right? But I'm not too sure if that offense is going to make him an elite quarterback. Only because of last year, like there was a lot of air balls, right? Long Hail Mary throws, and you can't win games all the time just throwing the ball down the field, right? You got to have that balance. You got to get your short runs, your short, slant throws and stuff like that. And unless they reconfigure Georgia offense, and again, they got a big task coming up in week 1 in college football against Clemson. That's going to be that game is really going to determine whether or not JT Daniels is the man or your boy DJ. I'm going to mess his name up again. There you go. I still can't get it right.
Yo, but I will say, JT
was in the mirror looking and be like,
hey, I just know that. No, but I like JT Daniels. The only, like you say, he made those mistakes, but like if you go back, he couldn't practice for the longest period of time because he had insurance problems coming off his injury, so he couldn't practice for a while, and then he was only in for 4 games. So I like JT Daniels, but also the fact that none of us mentioned Sam Howell from NC State. UNC. I know he lost a lot of weapons, but he still threw for 3,500 yards last year with 30 interceptions with 30 TDs with 7 interceptions. He put up numbers, so he's another guy that at least needs to be mentioned when we're talking Heisman for this upcoming year.
I hope Joe took all that into consideration, what you just said, because halfway through I lost everything you just said because my headphones, some reason, went out on me.
Your headphones went out.
Yeah. So I'm looking at him doing this, and I'm looking at you like, you better get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the crazy story. When your headphones stopped working, so did mine.
Oh my God.
And it's sad because Jace looks like he knows what he's talking about right now.
Yeah.
From what I see in the comments, he's making valid points, which I hate.
You know what? I'm gonna go back to my home studio, man. I think I jinxed you here.
I don't know what happened here. Everything was going great.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, and I'm like,
Frank, just write in the comments and tell me what Jay said, and I'll tell you why he's wrong. I could do that for you quick.
All right, hey, we're moving on forward here. Look, week 1, we have Georgia and Clemson, which is September 4th. But before that, Nebraska faces Illinois. Both these schools are looking to turn around their tradition and everything else and get into that winning mentality, right? Nebraska, I think they learned their lesson not to pick on Ohio State because they got blasted last year. Hopefully they're competitive this year. But also Ohio State plays Minnesota, and let's see what type of team Minnesota is. Especially they had to go through the pandemic themselves. North Carolina faces Virginia Tech, and these games are all within different dates there. But Alabama faces Miami in week 1. That's going to be an awesome game.
Be a great game,
right? And that's on September 4th, as well as Georgia and Clemson. And then another good game is Louisville versus Ole Miss. So I'm liking week 1.
Is the game in Miami or in?
The game is at Miami.
Oh, geez, that's
another guy that could be in the Heisman talks. De'Ara King from Miami. That him against that.
Either is that Miami or is that a neutral site? But yeah, absolutely, I love it. I'm loving it.
Road game, man.
And then the Georgia and Clemson game.
Miami.
I mean, look, I think the winner of that game should deserve to be number 1. I'm sorry, I gotta say it like that. Clemson and whoever wins that game, because that's pretty much the best game, unless the voters, the AP poll changes dramatically, and all of a sudden a team that wasn't ranked ends up being number 2 or something like that. But this is how close it gets, man. Week 1, them 2. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. But I like to cover it out. Week 2 here. We got Oregon at Ohio State. That is going to be an awesome match. And then Iowa at Iowa State. That is a rivalry. Also flirting with Iowa, or I think it's Iowa State. I think Iowa State's in the Big 12, right?
Yeah, Iowa State.
They're flirting to go to the Big 10, and then they could remain with their rivalry there. That's pretty awesome to see.
I'm thinking that's got to be a big game in Iowa. It's a little early for that, isn't it?
Definitely. I would have expected like week 13 or something, like rivalry week or something.
It's a little early for that.
Yeah.
No,
week 3. Then that's where we get some rivalry. But I like the Auburn at Penn State. I like that game, especially Penn State. They didn't have a good year last year. This is their bounce back. Penn State got to be ranked within the top 10.
I mean, let's be honest. Has Penn State even been good since like Joe Paterno died?
Yeah, they've been good.
Saquon.
Yeah.
Saquon.
I mean, our star running back for the New York Giants came from there.
But I'm saying,
Saquon Barkley
having
was there.
a good player doesn't mean you're a good team.
No, they've been
They won the
competitive.
Rose Bowl.
Penn State was a powerhouse.
I don't know,
They had
James, man. You're
Saquon.
going to have to school this guy real quick. But Penn State is,
Feels like it's been a while.
well, yeah, so this pandemic.
Yeah, that's true.
But Cincinnati at Indiana, that's going to be an awesome game for week 3. Like I said, this is some beautiful, beautiful matches. And week 4, Notre Dame versus Wisconsin and Oregon State at USC. I mean, it doesn't get better
What do you
than
think
that.
Notre Dame's going to do with all this conference jumping? Do they have to do something, or can they just keep flying solo? I don't know
Well,
if
right
that's,
now, flying solo benefits them. But if they were to change it to like that expansion playoffs they were talking about, then they would have been screwed because they wouldn't be allowed to be at the top 4 because they're independent. So
yeah, it's a bummer.
but I mean,
They did pretty well.
They
in the
did lose a
ACC
lot of
last year.
players in Notre Dame. So let's see if they're competitive. But if I was to pick, I know my boy Hector there in Waco, Texas, will say something different. He will pick Notre Dame to win. But you got to watch out for Wisconsin. They got all their players back, man, and I see them contenders to win the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, that kid Graham Mertz at quarterback, he got hurt, and then Jack Cohn had to take over. But he had a phenomenal game one last season, and then the whole Wisconsin as a whole, that whole COVID situation they had last year was really rough because they could have been really competitive in the Big Ten. So I'm excited to see that against a rebuilding Notre Dame team to see how good this Wisconsin team actually is.
Fair enough. So we got week 5, Ole Miss at Alabama. I like the game between Auburn and LSU. Now, I'm a little bit suspect about LSU, man. For one, Brendan, that was his favorite quarterback. He got injured last year, and he's gonna have surgery this year, so he won't be playing. But I don't know about LSU with all their legal issues and everything else. And then I know that the coach, he has new offensive, defensive coordinators and stuff like that. They're supposed to be legit contenders this year, but I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I think LSU is a long road of being effective, if you know what I mean. But then also that week, Cincinnati at Notre Dame.
Ooh.
So that's
Indiana,
why
then Notre
looking
Dame.
at these games, right? Desmond Ridder got a chance to win the Heisman this year. These are some good quality games.
Yes,
and
sir.
this is away from the Athletic American Conference. I think I said that backwards, but it's all right. The AAC.
We know what you mean.
Yeah. So they sold to them. Week 6, Georgia at Auburn, another tough match for them, right? And then the game to watch is Alabama at Texas A&M. Can the Aggies finally get a victory over the Crimson Tide?
Is it me or does Alabama have a million horrible road games? Again, I'm saying already.
Why
Without
not?
this thing even happening, they got a brutal schedule at Florida, at Miami.
But last year they were like at Alabama all the time, right?
Or at Central.
Good for them to be on the road. What's up, Jace?
No, but I mean, the past couple years, it's been Alabama versus like Central Arkansas or the Citadel. I like to see that Miami game's big for an out of conference game. And also, you keep mentioning Auburn. What has Auburn done, especially last year? I mean, I understand they're Auburn, but I mean, they really have the same respect as the Auburns of past coming into this year. I know Tank Bigsby is going to be one of the best running backs in the nation, but I don't necessarily know if Auburn still deserves that respect that they used to have.
You sounded good, bro.
Right as usual. Right as usual is all I have to say. Jace is on fire tonight. I like it.
He's not smiling though.
Why not?
I don't know. Look at him. Hey, let me finish it off real quick. Week 7, of course, Florida and LSU. This is a revenge game for Florida after they came close of almost made it to the playoffs, and they ended up losing before the season was over to LSU. Then week 8, Coastal Carolina and Appalachian State. That's going to be an awesome game there. And also USC at Notre Dame. Week 9, we'll get to see Penn State at Ohio State. But North Carolina at Notre Dame, that's going to be an awesome game right there. Week 10, we have Army versus Air Force. So I'm into the Commander-in-Chief trophy there. Then week 11, look, my game of the week of week 11 is no other than UConn visiting Clemson.
Oh, I've got Clemson by 77 points.
Nah, man, you already lost.
Clemson might put up a hundo. What are you talking about?
Okay, so now you up the points.
Yeah,
I said 79, but all right, that's fair
Dude,
enough.
I'm gonna say Clemson puts 100 on UConn. Are you for like only 70?
Yeah, but Jay, check this out. This is good for UConn, especially this year. They're coming back from being absent. They haven't took a snap in nearly 2 years now, right? They missed out all last season. They have a contract with CBS, right? They're independent. They get to play whoever they want to play, right? They're even going to West Point to play Army.
That's great.
So I'm heading over there
Are you
this
gonna
year.
go see it?
Oh yeah,
That'll be
I
great.
got to. I'm not. Hey, here we go. I'm rapping right here. So I'm gonna go out there. I'll probably play for Army myself. But yeah. I mean, look, this is good for UConn to get back. Well, hopefully that with the world going on, that it maintains so we continue having our sport. But finish it off. Look, each and every week, all you gotta do is go on to hhwshow.com. I got a list of stuff. I'll put on the game of the week of each week, make my bold prediction beforehand. And also my own top 25. My own top 25. A lot of people may disagree, but it's only preseason, man. It's only preseason. All right.
It'll all change by week 1.
It'll all be changed. But I still got Alabama number 1. I still got Ohio State number 2. I know people are gonna be like, what? You kidding me? But as you heard me before, I did say whoever deserves number 1's got to be the winner between Clemson and Georgia. That is a huge game, right? And now we don't have the official preseason rankings yet, as not out yet. But a lot of the other organizations, channels like CBS, posted there, and they have Oklahoma at number 3, right? So I'm like, I don't know about the Big 12 because the Big 12, they're always disappointing me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, look, what type of competition? Oklahoma had a chance to be undefeated. It's a fluke for Iowa State. That's another one. A lot of people got Iowa State like in the top 7. Why? Can somebody explain to me why?
Because they're bringing back their starting quarterback from that
running
year.
back. Yes.
Their quarterback is coming
got?
back too. Their quarterback from the past 2 years that have brought them in the top 25 and made them competitive year after year is staying. So I think just that in of itself, maybe not 7, but definitely at least maybe top 15.
Hey, once I hear you and I replay this, I'm gonna take notes because next week I'm gonna counterattack everything you just said. But I'd like to give a big shout out to Trevor Keys with Keys to the City. Catch them. When they come on?
Every Friday we do
Every
a show.
Friday. Yes.
And then sometimes we just do a show during the week when we want to.
Right. And I have another show called the HHW Show, in which we have a special guest coming up Tuesday at 2:00 p.m. We'll take a short break. Check her out real quick. That is R&J. You can tune them in. Follow them on Facebook at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, Jace is there to produce that show. You gotta check them out. They talk about variety of sports. I'm a big fan of them. I actually had the time. I wasn't in school anymore to hear them out on Wednesday. And I had a lot of comments with the NBA and stuff like that. And pretty interesting how the NBA is going in with their free agency and stuff. And then, of course, talking about the Yankees and the Red Sox and baseball and then everything else going on. So more props to R&J. hopefully we can have them in our show here and All Four Downs to talk about more about college football. I mean, look,
Justin D'Onofrio
yeah,
is a college football freak show. He knows more. He's our guy.
he's our guy for
he
him
really
to be
is.
second place to me because this year in the picks, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him real good. He knows it.
And Jason,
But who won?
Yeah,
But
he's
who
a
won
kid.
last year? Who's got the belt?
love it.
All right. I admit, Jace did win last year. He did win.
This and G-Men.
Not
You
by a lot.
can't stop me. I'm an expert.
You're not the king.
Bet money on me. You'll make a bunch.
Just
Buy
remember,
yourself
you
a
only got
new
a
house with
1 year
my
streak. I won the year before that.
But I'm a 2-time champ in 2020. 2-time pick champ.
You know what? We're gonna get this
NFL.
Clovercrest Media championship belt,
We should.
right? So the winner will carry on for the following season. You could just put it in your shoulders and be like, "Yeah, what
The
up?"
cool thing is that the belt's gonna have my face on it.
Oh, damn!
So,
He just
no
ruined
matter
it.
what, I guess I kind of win.
Anyways, we're about to wrap things up real quick, and it feels good to be back on All Four Downs talking about college football. We're like almost less than a month away to get the season started. I'm happy even just to say the word football. I know we tried our best to do something in the off season, but just things just didn't right after the NFL draft. It was like okay, how these guys do, and then there's just so much of Aaron Rodgers and everything gets sabotaged, right? I'm like, yeah, whatever. But this last month, college football
it's been
took to
crazy.
another level.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised when I saw Oklahoma and Texas, and then I'm like, what happened to the Aggies? And the Aggies like, no, please, no. I want to be by myself. And I'm like, no. Texas, they want to put that Longhorn right in the Aggies.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm looking forward to it. And then here's the question. If all these things happen and the Big 12 supposedly look, I know I'm all over the place, but why would you call the Big 12 the Big 12 if they don't have 12 teams? I said that last year. I even asked Jace. I'm like,
dude, the only team that's actually changed their number is the Pac-12.
Absolutely.
The Big 10 has had 12 before. No, the Pac-12 is the only one that changed from the Pac-10 to the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
The Big 10 had 12 at one point, right?
Yeah.
It's just a mess.
You see that body action? He's like,
very emphatic.
He's serious. Very.
It's football season, baby.
Here's the last call. The last whistle is 4th down. And Joe, please take it away.
Well, look, we're all excited that college football is back and with good reason. But, where we complained last year about the little guys, it's only going to get worse from here. And this might be the last chance that a team like a Coastal Carolina will ever have a chance to even sniff the playoffs in college football. And as luck would have it, they've got the best quarterback in the country in Grayson McCall. They've got an outstanding defense. They've got a great coach and a team-first mentality. They're gang tackling. I tell you right now, I think Coastal Carolina is going to cause huge problems before the season is over. And it's going to be all the same arguments we had last year. But now knowing what the plan is going forward in 2022 and beyond, I think it's going to make people even more angry. I have a feeling, unfortunately, this is all going to end up in a giant lawsuit. And it's going to take a long time. And I hope it doesn't damage the game we love too much.
I want to predict that they could move the Sun Belt Conference into the Big 12. Grab Coastal Carolina, grab Appalachian State. I mean, you go to Conference USA, grab Marshall.
Yeah. Pop all the good ones and make your own little baby power conference.
They've had a successful year last year.
Yeah.
They were disciplined and they played hard every week. So I don't think the Big 12 is going to give up. I don't think so. However, you're right. Super conferences is going to eliminate even talking about the expansion of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't want I expanded to 12. I don't want to hear it. Right? Because if it was the way it is now, it would have benefited for a conference champion to actually be in the playoffs, right? And have those wild cards or whatever they want to call it, right? But if you're going to make a super conference, then you do not need more teams in the playoffs. No.
Well, the convolution continues in NCAA football, and we'll be there every step of the way all season long to keep you up to date. For Jace Garcia, who I have no idea anything he said on this show, and for Obi Muniz, I'm Joe McGuire. We'll catch you next week.
I'll call you, Jace,
for All Four Downs.